way, May 31st, we are not doing our small group rally. Ours will be June 14th, launching at the end of June for small groups. Also, in 2 weeks, June 7th, we are moving to our summer schedule, which means just one service at 10:30. So June 7th, summer series, 10:30 only. And also, does anybody have anybody who's graduating this year? This season, right? You guys have, okay. So next week, we are going to pray over the graduates and launch them off. So if you wouldn't mind, if you want your kids to be part of that, I think you should do it. We all pray over all of them, bring them before the church, pray ask for blessing as they enter into the new things of this world. Send us a picture of them as a kid and as they're older. And if you hear, write this down right now, everyone, write this down, my phone number, because I want you to send it to me, 209-712-0626.
That's mine.
209-712-0626. You said you be the hands and feet and do whatever I needed, brother. Anyways, but we would love 209-712-0626. So we'd love to put those up there. We're going to pray over anyone who's graduating next year, next week. So please send those over there. I'd love to give you a few praise reports too as well before we started. This past week, we had 2 people in this church finally tie the knot. Mr. and Mrs. Denman, we had the privilege to do this. I had the privilege to do this ceremony with all of us. Which was so cool about this one was that Lauren and Joey said, hey, does this need to be serious? I said, let's have some fun. And Lauren goes, before the whole ceremony starts, let's take a picture of everyone. And so that's if you can see my wife right there in the middle. And then look at Anna right here. So, and then Jen's in the back with her tongue sticking out. So, but it was a great time. Congratulations. We prayed over you guys. You guys leave tonight on a red eye to Canada or something like that for 2 weeks. They think the best way to start their marriage is to be in a road trip for 2 weeks. No. Have a great time. And there's one other little praise report that I want to do. Most of you probably won't see this as a praise report, but just stick with me for a minute. We have a greeter, Barry, that we've all been aware of that I've been talking about, giving updates on. Barry had a tumor in his prostate, something like that. They removed it, but we were waiting for news to see was it cancerous or not. Well, late Thursday night, he got the call, and it is a progressive cancer. And so we talked Thursday night, and I said, hey, Barry, can I meet you for breakfast in the morning? And I don't know if you guys know him, but he's all, certainly you can. Like, just all chipper. That's how he says it right there. And so we meet, and we talk for 2 hours. And I was sitting there, and he's telling me about what the diagnosis was, what is happening. He has to go see a specialist now. He doesn't know how much time or what the next step is. And so he probably cried 4 or 5 times during this breakfast. I probably cried 10 times. I cried because I love the man. He's got a pure heart, man. He had told us a story that when he was a kid, never did he ever get a birthday present. Never were they able to celebrate Christmas. He had to work in his father's toy store. And never once did he say that he had a bad childhood. Because I love my parents. I love them. But I just also never had friends. He only cried when he would talk about his gratitude and thankfulness and the blessings that God has given him through his Thrive Family Church. He goes, you don't understand, like, I'm a blessed man. 22 years ago, I did not know Christ. He goes, but I was instantly filled with the Holy Spirit, and like I love every single person at Thrive. And they're such a blessing to me. You guys have brought him food, you guys have driving to doctor's appointments. Never once did he cry over the cancer diagnosis. He only cried tears of gratitude for all that you guys have done. At the end of it, I'm sitting there and I'm bawling my eyes out. And I looked at Barry and I said, Barry, my man, what can I do for you? And I'm thinking rides, he loves prime ribs, so I thought he wanted to take him out to eat. And he looked at me and he goes, Pastor David, he goes, I am the most blessed man in the entire world. What can I do for you? Here's the man who was just diagnosed with cancer and he doesn't know what it looks like right there and still wants to be a blessing. This is a peace that we talk about that surpasses all understanding. A man who has the Holy Spirit inside him, who walks along Jesus, that this moment does not terrify him. He wants to make sure while he's still here and doing this, was to continue to be the hands and feet of Jesus for every person he comes in contact with. I think this is one of the biggest blessings I had ever experienced in my entire life. Unfortunately, at Denny's, not at my restaurant, Huckleberries, but it was absolutely amazing. So, hey, hey, we're going to continue to pray for Barry. We're going to continue to pray for anyone who has health things going on right now. But he does have a doctor's appointment on June 22nd up in Woodland, and we're going to pray over that meeting that, the doctors come up with the right scope and way to figure this out. But this man is a blessed man, and when you see him come back, give him a hug, man. Give him a hug. He's a great, great man. So thank you for all your prayers with all of that. Last week we started a new series, and today is part 2, The Legend of Joe Jacobson. I asked everyone, who here has heard the name Joe Jacobson in the Bible? And everyone goes, I don't know who this is. So I'll go through it again. Joseph is the son of Jacob. Jacob was the son of who? Isaac. Isaac was the son of Abraham. And we all know Abraham, the father of many nations. We also learned that Joseph went through a lot of trials during that time. We know that he went from being his daddy's favorite to Potiphar's favorite slave to the warden's favorite prisoner. He's about 15, 17 years old when he is sold into slavery for the next 13 years. Either he lives an active life as a slave or a prisoner at this time. So we can say a big duration of his life had many challenges and trials during that time. We ended up asking the question last week that him going through all these trials and all these challenges, where was God in the middle of all of this? As many of us say too as well, when we go through trials and tribulations, where is God in the middle of this? We learned last week that God had his hand in all of it. He was there at every single moment of it, and other people saw it too as well. They would say, surely God is with you. Surely He's doing great things with you. And so that's what we learned, that he walks through everything with us at all times. But here's an important truth, that if you keep notes, I think you should paraphrase this right now for you, because every single person in here goes through trials and tribulations. And someone goes, why do we talk about challenges and trials? Because we all go through them all the time in some capacity. Back in the day, people would come to me with their trials or their challenges and being young and naive. I'm like, that's not even that bad. Like my wife, early on in our relationship, she would get up in the middle of the night freaking out because she didn't make Madison a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. To her, that was stress. That was a trial. And I would be like, you gotta be kidding me with that, man. Think about paying bills, or something like that. But I know for every individual, because God has wired us differently. My wife stresses over the household stuff. I stress over the finances and the business. But it doesn't negate what the trial and tribulation that person is facing. So I say that whatever trial or tribulation you're going through, because you will face them, you need to know this. Because we consider all those trials and tribulations bad times. But listen to this. If you could paraphrase it, I hope you can. We will not experience all the good that comes from all the bad until we acknowledge that God is with us in the bad and that he is good. And just a reminder for every person in here, just a reminder, there is bad in this world. We need to stop blaming God for all the bad things that are happening in this lifetime. This was not his intent for us to live in a bad world. We can go back to the first couple chapters of Genesis. God had created the world for us to walk with him in paradise, for us to take long strolls at night, for us to never gain a weight and always have a six-pack, to be 8 feet tall. I think that's true, by the way. If God's going to do perfection, might as well make it perfection. Right? But that God had designed it for us to enjoy that area. We, on the other hand, did not like what God had did, and we said, Adam and Eve, and I'll say it again, if Eve didn't pick up the apple first, one of us would have. And if it was a nectarine, I would have grabbed 2 of them. Okay? We chose door number 2. We didn't like what God had done, and we thought we could do better without him. So when bad comes in, it is a reflection of our actions that we did. We're just living with the consequences. So quit blaming God for the consequences that we're living in. Now, here's a flip side. Because we chose that way, he said, hey, even though you jacked up, Casey, Isis, whoever in here, I will still be with you. I will still send my son for you because, listen, you want to live a life away from me, but I'm going to make sure there's a way for you to get back to me because I want to continue to live with you. So we need to stop blaming God for all the bad and the trials. It sucks, don't get me wrong, it sucks. But we need to start not blaming him for the bad. As we find out, though, in all of the trials and tribulations that Joseph has had, it quickly changes. And it quickly changes, especially when the Lord is with you. The subtitle for this message today would be called The Promotion Season, when the palace calls for you at this time. Now, I'm going to give you a quick summary leading up to the scriptures that we're going to go over. But we all know that last week that Joseph gets sold into slavery by his brothers because they don't like him. And then we know that he becomes Potiphar's favorite slave. Potiphar's wife thinks he is fine. And so Potiphar's wife tries to sleep with him. He runs from her. She says that he raped her. So Potiphar throws him into prison. And while in prison, he becomes the warden's favorite prisoner. That would not be me. I would not be happy in that moment. I would not probably follow the rules. If you ask, like, I am not a rule follower by nature. I will push the limits. My tax lady literally asked me one time, hey, are you okay getting arrested and going to jail for your taxes? And I said, absolutely not. And she goes, well, are you okay being handcuffed but not going to prison? I said, yes, I'm okay with that one. Right? I'm not really a rule follower, so I wouldn't be like that yet. Joseph, been mistreated by his family, by Potiphar's wife, and now in prison, finds his way to be the warden's favorite prisoner, gives him full reign to come and go as he please and look over everything. Now, while in the middle of this, in prison for a number of years, God is still with this man. God's still with this man. So at this time, the chief baker shows up in prison because he did something wrong. And then the chief cupbearer did something wrong. So they're in prison with Joseph. And one day, they both have a dream. And they're like, we don't know what these dream means. And Joseph's like, listen, I can't interpret them for you, but the Lord can interpret them for you. Go ahead and tell me what they are. So the chief cupbearer tells him the dream. Joseph looks at it and says, listen, the Lord is saying this. Soon, you're going to be out of here. And you're going to go back to the palace and you're going to work for the Pharaoh. Now, hearing that, the baker, he's all pumped up. He's like, oh my God, this sounds good. Give me some of that news. So the baker tells Joseph what is going on. And Joseph's like, ooh, you're going to be killed. You're going to be beheaded at that moment, at that time. After delivering that news to the chief baker, he turns back to the cupbearer, Jacob, turns back to him and says, listen, you're going to get out of here. Make sure you don't forget about me. Please tell the Pharaoh what I have spoken over you right now, so he may see and I can get out of here. That's where we're at right now, okay? Everyone caught up to speed. Joseph thrown into slavery, becomes Potiphar's slave, goes into prison, becomes a favorite of all of them. He now is interpreting dreams for the Lord, and he tells the chief cupbearer, you're going to get out of here. Now we pick up this in Genesis chapter 40, verse 23. Verse 23 simply says, the chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot all about him. This man gets promoted out of prison. And immediately the guy who had given him hope, had given him purpose, who said, you're going to be out of here, he forgot him in this moment. He says, he forgot him. Genesis 41, 1 through 12. By the way, if I ever got out of prison and I saw that man, I'm like, dude, what? Do you not remember? Will you not remember the good that I did for you? We're going to find out what happens. Genesis 41, verses 1 through 12. After 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. Did they not put the notes in there?
They put last week's notes in there.
Did they?
Yeah.
What was it? Renee Mora?
Yeah.
Is that on video? You're fired. I'm just kidding. He's not my employee. You're not my employee. You're not my employee. You're not my employee. You're the Lord's employee. After 2 full years had passed, Genesis 41, verses 1 through 12, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing beside the Nile when 7 cows, sleek and well fed, came up from the river and began to graze among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows, silky and thin, came up from the Nile and stood beside the well-fed cows on the bank of the river. 7 healthy cows, 7 sickly cows. And the cows that were sickly and thin devoured the sleek and healthy cows. Then the Pharaoh woke up, but he fell back asleep and dreamed a second time. 7 heads of grain plucked and ripe came up from one stalk. After them, 7 other heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the east wind. Then the thin heads of grain swallowed up the plump grain, the ripe ones. And Pharaoh awoke and realized it was a dream. In the morning, his spirit was troubled. Anybody have a dream and you knew something happened and you woke up and you're like, I don't know, this doesn't sit right? Okay, this is when we're going to go to the Lord next time. In his spirit was troubled, so he summoned all of the magicians and the wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told his dreams, but no one can interpret them for him. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, today I recall my failures. Pharaoh was once angry with his servant, and he put me and the chief baker in custody of the captain of the guard. One night, both the chief baker and I had dreams, and each dream had its own meaning. Now a young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us individually. And it happened to us just as he interpreted. I was restored to my position, and the other man was hanged. Joseph had been forgotten about this whole time. But in God's perfect timing, and I'm sure all of us right now would say that after he helped the cupbearer get out and he forgets about him for 2 more years, Joseph is in there, probably sees the cupbearer walking around and be like, are you kidding me, God? Are you kidding me? I'm giving words in prison. Imagine what I could do if I was out there. But he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. But for 2 years, this is God's timing, making Joseph sit in a cell. Some of you are still sitting in a cell, and you're like, I've been faithful. I'm doing the things you've called me to do. Why am I still here? I'm going to tell you, his timing is better than ours. And listen, it's for all of us who would be like, but it brings me stress. Sometimes we need to go through that stress. Sometimes we do need to go through a humbling process. If you're not humble, you need to be humbled. He has done it to me many times, and I'm still messing with it. If you're overconfident, some of us need to be brought down a peg. Now, you may in your mind says, God, I promise I figured it out. I've done it. And I've seen people say, oh, no, it's great. And then as soon as God answers and delivers their things, they go right back to what they were doing. God's saying this moment no to Joseph, and he may be saying no to you. No, we're going to wait. We're going to wait till the timing works out so you're ready to do what I know you can do. Because I have bigger and better plans for you. I'm sure Joseph maybe just wanted to get out of prison. And God's like, I don't want you just to get out of prison. I want to promote you out of here right now. He may be saying the same thing to you right now. The question is, will you sit still in prison, still be a blessing to others, even though it sucks? Will you be Barry Kincaid, who's been diagnosed with cancer, and say, no matter what is happening to me, I will continue to be a blessing to others because God is still blessing me? That is one for all of us in this moment. You may have been sitting for 2 years. But in God's perfect timing, he remembered and told Pharaoh about Joseph. Let's read it again. In verse 14 through 16. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph, who was quickly brought out of the dungeon. After he had shaved and changed his clothes. He was a ragamuffin. Isn't that what you say, babe? He was a ragamuffin? He was a ragamuffin. He didn't look too good. And we had heard before he was very handsome and very fit, like my brother Eric. Or Christian back there. You're the new fit guy in the group, buddy. So he goes, shaves, and he gets ready, and then he went before Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I've heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can't interpret it. Get this. This man has every moment right now to talk himself up. He has every moment to pump himself up so the Pharaoh sees something in him that would say, get this guy out of here. I would brag about myself. Yeah, I can do dreams. I can do anything you want. But that's not what he does. He goes like this. He goes, I myself cannot do it. Joseph replied, but God will give Pharaoh a sound answer. Not in my strength, but in his strength in this moment right now. If he had any time right now to pump himself up, to say, yeah, Pharaoh, you called the right dude. He goes, no, I cannot, but he can do it. What a different change of events from the first dream he got when he was 13 and told his brothers, one day you're going to bow before me. And then now he's saying, no, not me, but him. God had did something in 13 years to this man. At this, Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 ripe heads of grain are 7 years. The dreams have the same meaning. Moreover, the 7 thin, ugly cows came up after them for 7 years. And so are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the wind. They are 7 years of famine. You got 7 years of fat cows, great stock, and now you have 7 years of thin cows and dead stock. What I'm saying is, you're going to have 7 years. This is a prophetic dream right now. You're going to have 7 years where life is good. You're making a bunch of money. You have the best house. You're remodeling. You're doing all the stuff that's going on. But it will come right after that, 7 years of famine, where there will be nothing there for you right now at this time. Prophetic dreams are meant to help us. They are meant to prepare us too as well. I'm not Joseph. Don't even act like I can interpret dreams or whatever. But I've had 2 dreams in my entire life. One I had my whole entire life. I would say till I was like from 8 to about 35 or whatever. At our house off of Orford, out in the countryside of Stockton, was a mountain lion, Ryan? A mountain lion was roaming in the back of our field. We always played baseball out there. We always went on the barn and jumped off it. We threw Eric off of it a lot. These have cow patties. I don't know how close you threw Eric a cow patty. Yeah. You were little. It was just fun. Wherever you were. Yeah. You're a big brother. You do those things. If you don't do those things, you're not a real brother. Just so you're real clear. But when that mountain lion came out there, we could no longer go out there because it was roaming around for about 2 or 3 weeks. Now, I would go to bed about a week after this, and I had this dream that I would open the sliding door from Orford, and at that time, you could see in the back of the field. And it wasn't a mountain lion, it was actually a lion, a male lion, full mane, like the one you see on National Geographic that would tear your face off. And it would always freak me out. And in the dream every time, the first one, I go to the last gate, and the lion starts charging me, and I slam the wooden gate in front of him and run inside. As the years progressed, I would leave the door open in my dream, go to the sliding door, and then I would shut it right before he came in. I would wake up terrified, sweating. I would tell my wife, I don't understand, since age 8 to now 30-something, why am I having this dream? And it hit me one night in another dream when God said, I'm at the door knocking, open it. So I went to bed that night and I said, God, if this dream comes tonight, I will leave all doors open. Don't devour me. That's what I thought. But I'm going to do it. And in the dream, that night, I had it again. I leave the first door open, and this time the lion is moving slowly, like he's going to pounce on me. And I'm standing in front of the sliding door like this, and it sees me and takes off right at me. And in the dream, I'm crying, I'm sweating. Outside the dream, I am crying, I am sweating, and I'm like, I'm about to die because it feels so real. You ever have those dreams where you're like falling down, and you're like, this is happening. And I remember as I was doing it, I'm just like this. The lion hugs me. The Lion of Judah had shown up, and the whole time I wasn't opening the door to him. It changed everything in my moment at that time. That God could use a dream to show me, like, you think that God is like only hate and anger and all this. Not to say that that man isn't like a warrior, because Jesus and God is a warrior, the Holy Spirit's a warrior. But he's also tender and loving yet too as well. And I remember opening it up and like, it changed everything. God can use those dreams. I say this, if you have dreams that trouble you, that move your spirit, you should pray to God. God, give me an answer tomorrow what that dream is right now. Joseph gives Pharaoh the answer to that. Then it goes in verse 37. This is what it says in verse 33. Now therefore, Pharaoh shall look at a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Since you know they're going to have good years and you have 7 bad years, you need to put a wise man in charge of this. Let Pharaoh take action and appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. This proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his officials. So Pharaoh asked all his officials, can we find anyone like this man in whom the Spirit of God abides? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has made all of this known to you, there is no one as discerning, as wise as you. 2 hours earlier, this man is in prison. 2 hours earlier, he's in prison, in chains, down there. You shall be in charge of my house. He didn't say anything. He goes, you, Joseph, who were just in prison 2 hours ago, because the Lord is with you, you're going to be in charge of my house. And all my people are going to obey your commands. Only with regard to the throne will I be greater than you. Pharaoh also told Joseph, I hereby place you over the land of Egypt. Joseph was writing his new job description. Where was God at this moment? Over Joseph the whole entire time. In one conversation, he goes from being prisoner, warden's favorite person, to Pharaoh's favorite leader. This is a prophetic word for even us at times too as well. That God is doing something, and I fully believe this. God is doing something great through Thrive that will be promoted. But individually for every one of you, you've been tilling the soil. You have been faithful. You've been reading. You've been saying, God, I need more. I know some of you guys are going through that. And you're still 2 years sitting in prison. And God is about to take you from prisoner to promotion as a leader. Some of you guys are about to get new jobs. Some of you guys are about to get promoted inside your jobs. So the question for all of us when that happens, though, is will you respond the same way Joseph responded? Will you respond the same way Joseph responded? How did he respond? I have read it through the whole time, but I want to point out some things about how a man who could have been the most bitter man in the entire world, who could have been full of himself by saying, I'm the one who interprets dreams. I am the one that is going to save Egypt. I am the one, and he doesn't say any of that. He goes, no, I can't do it, but he can do it. This is how he responded the moment at this time when he was being promoted. Number one, write this one down, because we all need this one, especially my brother Ryan. Be humble, yet confident. In verse 16, it says this, amen, keep it going. He tells Pharaoh, I can't do it, but God can. During a time most would pump themselves up, he didn't promote himself, he promoted the Lord. It might have been different in his younger years. At age 13, he would have gave himself credit. But at this time, he was ready to step in because God had prepared him for this moment. He was victimized, but he refused to adopt the victim mentality. Having a victim mentality stops all of us from progressing. I say this, and I'll say it again. When trials and tribulations come, recently, not always, but I say to myself, God, I can't wait to see what you do next. I can't wait to see what you do next. I don't want to sit there and say, oh, poor me. Oh, how come this is happening to me? God did not design the world to be like this. I understand that now, but I know this. He promises to have victory at the end. And because I'm a part of his family, I have the victory too. I get heaven. You do too. So I look at it like this and I say, I will not be a victim. What's also interesting about this statement is that Pharaoh claimed to be God. In a humble way, though, Job let him know that the true God would help him. And a side note, sometimes we all wonder, can we bring God into the workplace? Joseph did, to the man who claimed to be God. We can if we do it in humility and confidence, which leads us to the second one. Be wise and prudent. In verse 33 through 36, he didn't blow all the nation's wealth when times were good. He used discipline to save 20%. Oh my God, he's talking about money. No one wants to hear about money. You don't hear me preach about money. You don't hear me preach about politics. Right now, he's in the governor's king's office, and right now, he's talking about money to him right now. Joseph didn't blow it. He said, listen, let's be wise about this in this moment. During the good years and everything that's going on, why don't we just set aside 20% right now? And so when the time comes, we're ready to handle the situation. What if we would do that too on a daily basis? I tell you this, I would have people coming up to me saying, something's coming up in the future. I don't have any money. If we would set that aside, even in our own lives, as the promotion is coming, as God is working on you, as we're ready for that time, to set aside 20%. He didn't blow it. He used discipline to save 20%. We should do the same. Number 3 is be mindful and grateful. It says, verse 50 through 52, it says this, before the years of famine arrived, this is down the road, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenatha, daughter of Potiphar, priest. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh. Did I get it right, Bill? Close enough. Saying, this is the meaning of it, God has made me forget all of my hardship and all of my father's household. God has made me forget all of my hardship and all of my father's household. And his second son he named Ephraim, saying, God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. When good times come, it is easy to forget where we came from. Joseph wasn't going to let that happen. He named his two sons to constantly remind him that God had answered and shown up during desperate times in his life. We should never forget where we've come from. I'm sure some of us could raise our hands right now. You guys live in big, beautiful houses. But I'm wondering, when you were a kid, did you have that big, beautiful house? We have a big, beautiful house. Some of you guys saw it last week. At least I think it's beautiful. If you don't think it, keep your mouth shut. I don't care. I know we need some more yard work, and I'm working on it, but I don't want to do it. Okay? But I also know there was a portion of our lives where there's 12 of us living in a 700 square foot home, and we're sleeping in campers and tents outside. So when I look into where I am today, where we're not buying powdered milk, did anyone have to buy powdered milk back in the day? Or when you would go and you see the frosted flakes and you wanted it, and your mom's like, find the generic brand, and it was down below, and you're like, I think this is close. And did anybody else have to do that too as well? Or then you would think like, oh, I want to get a Pop-Tart, because that was really cool back then. But then you can find the generic brand, and my mom's like, ooh, it says expired. I go, Mom, we'll try. We'll just give it a shot, right? So when I think about those times like that in my life, and I start questioning if God has been faithful and sent me blessings, God, look at where you took us from there to where we are now. Where I could say for every individual, I'm worried about my brother Ryan, my brother Eric, babe, God really saved you, But there are times where if you start questioning it, and I don't know if it's a house, maybe you had a big house, maybe you had a smaller house, then thank God. I was meeting with a man this past week, and he was telling me that, and he comes to second service. He didn't say I could say this, so I won't say his name. He retired when he was 36 years old. He was making millions of dollars every single year. And he said, I had the mansion in Cameron Park, I had the Jaguars, I had the Escalades, whatever back then. They would pay me $50,000 to go speak at the Georgia Dome, Arco Arena, all this stuff. And I said, but right now you work for someone else, in sales. And he goes, yeah. And I go, what happened? He goes, I lost it all in 2006. I go, that wasn't even the recession. He goes, no, it was before the recession. I lost all of it. So he tells me the whole story, and he's well-spoken. I'm hearing it. And so after the end of it, I said, can I ask you, it's obviously God has had a hand on you. You went through cancer. You can't walk through that with God. But what was the biggest blessing that you had ever received in your entire life? What was the moment that hey, God, if you didn't show up, this would have gone bad? He goes, David, the biggest blessing that I ever received was when God took everything away from me in 2006. When God subtracts, he actually is adding. He goes, God took away everything that took me away from him. I thought that joy and peace was in the new Jaguar I got, the new house I bought, the vacations I went on. It's come to find out, the biggest blessing ever is now I live in a small home, one car, 76 years old, working 40 hours a week, and I'm the happiest I ever was, because now I have the Lord and I'm not doing it by myself. You can look back at all of your times in your life too as well and say where you're at, whether you came from a poor house to a big house, or you came from a big house to a poor house. God showed up and did something with you in those times. Number 4 is be generous. In verse 53 it says, when the 7 years of abundance in the land of Egypt came to an end, the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said, and all throughout there was a famine in the country, there was food throughout the land of Egypt. But when extreme hunger came over the land of Egypt, and the people cried out to Pharaoh for food, he told the Egyptians, go to Joseph and do whatever he tells you. When the famine had spread all over the land, Joseph opened up all the storehouses and sold the grain to the Egyptians. For the famine was severe in the land, and every nation came to Joseph in Egypt to buy grain, because the famine was so severe over all the earth. I love it. Joseph didn't build huge storage houses just for himself. He did it to help others. He realized that as the massive gift was for the feeding of the many. You need to say this, and I need to say this too as well, as when we're promoted or we're going through it. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed to be a blessing. I am blessed to be a blessing. God has shown up and done great things with you. Maybe God has shown up in a good way and He put you in prison for 2 years. You're still blessed because you have Him. God is giving you a home that you thought you'd never ever have. God has blessed you. We continue to be blessings. Like Barry is so blessed that he says, I'm the most blessed man in the entire world. What can I bless you with, my man? And this isn't in there, but I'll wrap it up with this as they come in there. Because Pastor Hector's like, those are the top 4 things. And I was like, you know what? There's one more thing that we always constantly need to do in any season, in promotion too as well. It goes without saying that Joseph was talking with God, right? You don't hear God's dreams in His voice if you don't. Oh my God, Barry. Are your ears ringing?
What?
Yeah. I just talked about how more of a blessing you were to me than I've ever been to you. Hey, I just want you to know.
Blessing to all of us.
Love you, man. Love you. In Matthew 6:5, it says this. Joseph was constantly in communication with the Lord. I know we don't go through that, but I think it goes without saying. All of us too as well. I was talking with 2 young people just last night, and they were saying to me, I go, when do you pray? And they said, well, I don't pray. I only pray when I eat. I go, you pray when you go to bed? And they're like, no, I don't pray when I go to bed. And I said, well, when do you pray? She goes, I pray if something's really hard about to come up, like if I got to pass a test or, if something bad has happened. And I said, you don't pray throughout the day always? Like, no. And then another person steps in and goes, I think I pray every hour. Who here prays every hour? There's those gentle ones in your mind, right, that you go through, right? I'm one of those guys who I pray every morning before I get out of bed, and then every hour I pray too as well. And then every night I'll finish it on my knees one more time. And there are seasons where I didn't pray. But I need to tell you this. You need to pray. Some of you guys are asking, and I love this little kid, he said this, he goes, some of us are asking from a word from the Lord, and literally God's like, I gave you 66 books, and I gave you the opportunity to pray to me and talk to me. The reason why we can't hear what He says to us in our prayers or through other things is because you're not in it. You believe, but do you follow? Satan believes, but he doesn't follow. If you're a follower of Christ, I'm telling you, and someone's like, he's so harsh on me right now. I am. Because you need to pray. In Matthew 5:6, it says this. And when you pray, not if, this is a command, and when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in synagogues and on the corners and in the streets, and they want to be seen by men. Surely I say to you, they have no reward. But you, when you pray, go into your room, go into your cubicle, go into your car, go into your school, go into your barbershop clipper thing right there where no one can see you or whatever. Go into all these areas, shut the door. Pray to your Father who is in secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. I don't follow the Lord for rewards, but I'll take it if they're there. I'll take it those moments. I love it when somebody said to me the other day, like, I don't know how to pray. Good, either do I. Do you know some of the prayers for me are like this? God, I don't really know what to do, but I could really use some help right now. I don't have those big prophetic words. I'm like, and the Lord showed up in the 12th century of tomorrow. No, that's not me. That's great. Pastor Kid, Mel, you guys can do that. That's great. But for me, I'm like, God, literally, this is messed up. I need you to show up. I need you to do something. Pray. When you pray in secret, there is a reward. I think Joseph was doing that the whole time. No one saw that. And in the moment when 2 hours earlier he was a prisoner, was instantly promoted to second in command of all of Egypt in a foreign land that he did not belong to, who he was a slave and a prisoner, God promoted him. Some of you guys right now are sitting 2 more years in prison, longer than you have to, and I'm sorry that's happened. But when that promotion comes, be humble, give credit to the Lord, be respectful, and pray before, pray in the middle, and pray after. Guys, will you stand with us as we sing this last song?